Alright guys, hi, thank you guys for joining to my YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys subscribing. If you guys do subscribe, click the notification bell so that you guys can see when I post. Like, and then of course comment, because that always helps me out. That'd be awesome. To my TikTok channel, I really appreciate you guys coming and joining in. I just did like a ton of research on this in the last couple days. And I know that this wasn't, like, really broadcasted as much as I did the last one, but that's fine. Anyway, I forgot something. I will be right back. There we go. Alright, so onto my YouTube channel. I totally forgot to press play, so we're gonna repeat what I just said to my TikTok channel again. So this case has sexual assault. It also has malicious intent. It also has homophobia. So if any of that makes you, please click out and go find another video. Other than that, let's get started. So the case that we're going to be kind of contributing today is the Doodler, aka the Black Doodler. I actually haven't really seen a lot of people cover this case, and that's kind of why I'm starting out like that. Because this case is so crazy to think about. And on top of everything, like, this actually happened during the Zodiac killer spree. So, like, I think that's kind of why this case kind of gets overlooked. Because the Zodiac killer was, like, absolutely crazy. And so I just feel like this case isn't getting a lot of justice, and neither are the victims. So, like, the way I'm going to be approaching this new type of content that I'm going to be doing, I'm gonna kind of try giving a voice to the victims more than other channels do, and I feel like that's kind of been my goal with this, is trying to give voice to the victims of whatever I'm covering that day. Whether it be in Hollywood or it be in true crime. And I kind of did post a video about that. The video that I posted previous to this video that I'm posting now, it was about Oprah Winfrey, and I just didn't feel like celebrity gossip was for me. Like, it's like boring. And there's so many people doing it, and so I kind of feel like, why not go towards somewhere where I'm more interested than kind of going with what everybody else is doing. And that's kind of why I'm starting this. So if you guys are new here, hi, thank you for joining. Sorry my intro is so long. Let's kind of just dive in. So the Black Doodler was an unidentified serial killer who has been linked to 16 men's death. So when I was doing research, I kind of researched that in, and I was like, well, how much did he actually kill? How much have been confirmed? And due to the fact that he's actually never been brought to justice, and there's never really been evidence towards him, there isn't actually a lot of, like, solid information on whether or not he killed 16 men. So that's where one of the first things that I noticed kind of sucked. So there's many other sources that say he's only killed 14, and then there's other sources that he killed only 5. And if you guys kind of look it up, you guys will 100% see that there's so many, like, mixed interpretations of this case, just because I feel like they're trying not to take away the victims from the Zodiac killer, but they're also trying not to take away the victims of what I'm doing right now, the Black Doodler. And so, like, they're trying to, like, confirm, because they were so close during the time the Zodiac killer was doing his killing spree, the Black Doodler also was. Interesting enough, the reason why the Black Doodler's name is actually called the Black Doodler is because victims who got away from the Black Doodler also recalled that he was an African American, I actually have that in here. Hold on. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the information that I have of the guy. So I know that he was 5'11". He was in like his early 20s, which I think is absolutely crazy. That this guy was like so high in count and he was only in his early 20s. And like I said, he was also Native American. I'm sorry guys, African American. So that's, come on, there we go. So that's also a situation. Then we also have the fact that he was gay. That wasn't ever confirmed, but I'm going to safely assume that because of the facts of the case. So the facts of the case is actually, the reason why he was called the Black Doodler is because he would sketch out the victims. So the people that he was planning on killing, he would draw before he went and killed them. Which, and like, I'm not quite able to put in pictures in my YouTube channel, and I'm not really wanting to, just because of how horrific the murders were, and like, I just feel like that would be disrespectful to do, because there's probably some people who are still alive who have had family who dealt with that. And I just feel like that wouldn't be respectful towards the victims or the victim's family, or even like their privacy at that. So I'm not going to be doing that to my YouTube channel. And I honestly, to be honest guys, I have no idea how to do that. And I'll be figuring that out later in life. But, so that, yeah. But all of the victims that this guy targeted were older. Like, his first victim, Gerard, I'm sorry guys, I'm horrible with pronunciation. I also have a little bit of a speech impediment. So, I tried looking up how to pronounce the name and it wasn't really helpful. But I'm just gonna say Gerard. Yeah. So, that victim was actually his first confirmed victim, and this guy was 50, and he actually targeted gay people from nightclubs, restaurants, and bars, and he sexually assaulted all of them, and he would stab them after the assaults, and I kind of want to believe that he did it during the assaults, so that it would make it easier for him to be able to sexually assault, but that was never really fully confirmed. It's just kind of me thinking. So I'm not gonna like say that without kind of saying that I don't know. But I feel like that's kind of like a normal thing for killers to do. So yeah, so the first victim, Gerard, he was actually a 50-year-old mattress factory worker. Which, and like, this is all based in 1974 to 1975, and I forgot to add that. So his spree was January 1974 through December 1975. So this was all like a whole year of him killing, which I think is crazy that his body count got up so high within a year of doing so. So that's just my input on that. But I also think that he's like in his early 20s. Who the heck has time to do that in his early 20s nowadays? I don't know. Anyway, so the body of Gerard was actually discovered on January 27th, 1974 on Ocean Beach. Now, I wasn't quite sure if it was a street called Ocean Beach or if it was actually on the ocean on a beach. Because that would be, like, not to kind of set a joke towards something like this because it's terrible, it's horrific. But like, I would low-key like to die on the, like, on a beach. Cause I just feel like that'd be so peaceful. But the way this guy died, not peaceful at all. So a little back information on Gerard. He was a Canadian immigrant. And when they found him, like, he had actually fought. He fought pretty hard for his life. There's self-defense wounds all up his arms and his face. Like, he really tried to get this guy off of him. That just says a lot for, like, a 50-year-old man to, like, try and fight. Like, that's kind of badass. But he was found face up and fully clothed on the ocean beach. And like I said, I don't know if that's on the street or the actual beach, but this was all kind of placed in San Francisco, California. So he was determined to be awake during the assault and also during the death or the killing. So he was like he wasn't unconscious. He was 100% fully conscious. So that's sad. Anyway, so like I said, he fought for his life, and at that point, nobody kind of knew what that was about. And he was found, and he wasn't actually identified for a while. So he is actually like a John Doe. I think it said for like 4 months. I'm not quite sure. I didn't put that on in here. I'm not too sure because I found that on Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is not always that, like, you know. I mean, our teachers all throughout high school and middle school used to tell us, do not use Wikipedia as a source. So, which I don't. Anyway, so at that point, no one really thought to, like, link it, because, like I said, this is his first murder, so there's, like, not really a lot of backstory to this guy. Like, they just found this poor old man raped and up, belly up, fully clothed, stabbed to death. And so, I mean, I'm going to kind of give the police a little bit of credit here. Not a lot, because the way this case was handled was just not the best, due to the fact that it was actually in the 70s, and, like, homophobia was so big back then. Yeah. So, I feel like that was, like, another reason why this case kind of struck me, is because the fact that police didn't really give a shit. I mean, they cared enough to, like, do research and stuff, and they cared enough to, like, find the bodies and kind of figure out who they were, and they actually did try, but I feel like they didn't try as hard as they could have if it was, like, straight white men. But I do want to say, all of the victims of the Black Doodler, they were all white men. But they weren't straight, like I said. They were all gay. So then the second victim, his name is Joseph Stevens. And he was actually a 27-year-old drag artist, which I thought was super cool. Like, I've heard of a drag queen, and I'm sure all of my audience have heard of drag queens. But, like, I've never heard drag artists. Like, I mean, I don't know why I didn't think about that, but I think that's actually kind of cool to, like, yeah. But from this point on, his nickname was actually called Jay. And I don't know his pronouns. I'm kind of just assuming that back then they didn't really have pronouns. So I'm just going to go with Jay. So that's his nickname. That's what he went by. And he was actually discovered 6 months later after he died. And we're going to push TikTok over here. So they found him 6 months later after his death at Golden Gate Park with multiple stab wounds by a woman walking. And I mean, just think about, like, how horrific would that be for that woman? Like, she's just probably, like, walking to, like, lose some weight, and when she sees this body, you guys, I would be terrified to leave my house after that. I'd be like, oh, this was a sign from God to not lose weight. That's how that would go. I'd have to, like, go to counseling and stuff. So, like, just saying, like, that would be really upsetting to find on a wall. Especially in, like, Golden Gate. Like, that, I mean, Golden Gate Park, as far as I know, that's like, a really big monument. I mean, I've never been outside of Montana, so I would not know. But, I'm just saying, like, sorry guys, whenever I do my eyeshadow, I get, like, super distracted. Alright, anyway, so this woman found him and obviously called the authorities. And he, like I said, he was found with multiple stab wounds, and that's kind of like the pattern of this guy. So, like, to tell that this guy was actually, like, a serial killer, like, that's how they identified all of the killings, was because of the fact that he had multiple stab wounds on all of his victims. And, the sexual assault. So they were all, yeah, you guys get it. Oh, I dropped that. So, Spreckles, like, I'm not from San Francisco. I've never been south from San Francisco, so I have no idea what these terms are. I can't help you out with that part. But, so on June 25th, 1974, that's when he was found. Stevens was 27 and died recently before his body was found. As he had been a witness at a club the day prior, he was employed as a female impersonator and comedian. Which, and like, that's the sad thing about, like, this guy was 27. He had his whole dang life ahead of him. He was doing, like, female impersonator. He was literally a comedian. So, like, I mean, safely assume, like, he made people smile. And, like, he's gone. Like, that is so upsetting. Because, I mean, I'm kind of thinking about, like, who's that comedian? I don't know. I lost the name. Sad. I used to like him. I don't really like comedy much anymore because I like true crime. But, like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's so many comedians out there that so many people really like because they put a smile on their face. So, like, safe to assume, like, that guy probably did give a lot of people a lot of smiles, and he's just gone. And that's just so sad to me. Anyway, so officers suspected that Stephen was alive at the time that he had been at Spreckles Lake, possibly transporting himself alongside his killer. So that could either be, like, he was riding a taxi with him, and, like, they were, like, talking, they hit it off, and then decided to go walk, or, like, it was, like, an opportunity kill. Like, I mean, as far as I know, I mean, I follow a few drag queens on TikTok, and they're kind of, like, out there. I mean, they obviously are drag queens, like, literally, like, their clothes, their makeup, like, they are so crazy with all of their outfits and stuff that, I mean, clearly they're gonna be very easy identified as drag queens. So, I'm just saying, like, that, and most of the time, like, they have these high-pitched voices, and, like, safe to assume that some of them are gay. I mean, that's not always a thing, but back then, I feel like a lot of people kind of just put that as a thing. It's like, if you're a drag queen, you're gay. Like, that's kind of how they put it back then. I mean, this is the 70s, early 70s, too, so, like, a lot of homophobia going on here. And so, like I said, they don't really have a lot of information about Joseph, about, like, how they found his body, and so, like, there's not, I don't know, I don't even know how to go into that, but I'm gonna assume, because they put him together with the Black Doodler, that they found him full belly, or belly up, clothes on, sexually assaulted, but, yeah, so that's, I feel like that's just so sad, like, poor guy had his whole life ahead of him, and he died. They don't really have, like, a lot of information on, like, his, self-defense wounds or anything, so, like, I don't really know. I'm sorry, I am a horrible researcher. I'm just starting out, so please don't judge me. Okay, so then the next victim is called Klaus Christianman, and he was actually a German-American immigrant. And again, he was actually discovered again by a woman walking on her dog on July 7th, 1974. So if we kind of go up back to Joseph, he was found June 25th, 1974. So this guy is literally killing so many people, like, in so little times, where I'm like, he is literally, like, escalating. I mean, as far as I know, I feel like that's kind of the right term that I'm trying to go for. Criminal minds. But yeah, I feel like this guy's escalating, trying to get, hold on. Boys! Stop! To my YouTube channel and to my TikTok channel, I'm so sorry. I have my dog and my cat, and they're like best friends. They're literally fighting right now, and playing fighting. So that's a thing. But, so like I said, Klaus Christianman was found July 7th, 1974. His death had been somewhat more violent than the previous murders, and he had actually considerably more stab wounds. He also had been slashed in the throat several times. So, like, I'm just saying, have you guys ever had to, tenderize a steak? I mean, that's, like, mallet type stuff. So, I'm, like, that's exhausting. Like, if you're whisking up pancake batter, like, that's exhausting to do. And so, like, I just feel like, I mean, constantly doing, like, this type of motion, like, I mean, knives can get slippery, like, just think about it, like, blood gets everywhere, and, like, one stab wound, like, that's not gonna make the knife slippery, but, like, multiple stab wounds, like, blood's gonna go everywhere, all over the clothes, all over the knife. I just feel like that's so much work to completely, like, go boom, boom, boom on somebody. That's literally, like, you have to, like, throw your whole body into it. I just feel like that's so much work. And not only that, like, that's, I don't want to say horrible, because that is horrible, but I feel like I say that all the time. I just feel like that's hard to do. And, like, the knife, like, the guy had to have gotten cut on his hands. I just don't see how nobody was able to, like, I just don't see how anybody didn't see this happen. I just don't. Anyway. So the body was also fully... Really? Sorry about that, guys. So I was actually gonna put this in the end of my video, but I guess I kind of have to explain that. I have a cousin who has actually recently... I'll deal with you later. So I have a cousin who... I gotta wait. Okay, so I have a cousin who has recently been diagnosed with cancer. And I don't really... It's really emotional for me because my cousin is very close to me. I love her so much. Like, I love her like a sister. She's kind of in the hospital right now getting chemo. And I called around for a few salons asking what they can do with my hair, because I wanted to use my hair to get her a wig. So that's kind of what that was about. I'm sorry for losing connection. And to my YouTube channel, I'm sorry, that was super confusing, I know. Anyway, back to the case. So... Ooh, that's weird. Okay, so the body was fully clothed, and Christianman, unlike the previous victims, was actually married and had children. And the fact that he had a makeup tube on his person when he died suggested to the police that he may have been a closeted gay man. So I don't know what that meant to the police. I mean, back then I feel like that's kind of like a sign, like, I'm gay, but I'm not coming out as gay. I don't know. Again, I wasn't born in the 70s, so I have no idea. I feel like maybe, like, somebody else in my audience, if you guys are gay, you guys can kind of explain that more, and I would absolutely love to hear that, because that, I don't know, I feel like a makeup tube doesn't really say anything. I don't know. Maybe that's because we live in 2022 and I'm just confused. But he did remain unidentified briefly while police were investigating the case, which they believed were related after the third murder. He was eventually buried in his native country. So, like I said, he was actually a German-American immigrant, so he was buried in Germany, which I think is so cool. Like, I would love to be buried in a foreign country, but, yeah. Anyway. So, we have 2 more victims to talk about that they actually have information on. I don't understand why they don't have all of the victims' information on. I did a little more research on that and I could not find them. But Frederick Kappen was 32 and died on May 12th, 1975. Again, not a lot of information, but he was discovered May 12th, 1975 in San Francisco. He had been stabbed like the other victims and dying from the strikes to his main artery. Oh wait, my artery's over here. Sorry. It is believed his body has been moved approximately 20 feet as disturbance in the nearby sand indicated. So, the murderer stabbed him and he moved him 20 feet. Kappen was identified through fingerprints. Wow, can't be. Fingerprints when they were matched to those taken by the state due to his occupation as a nurse. He had also served in the United States Navy and was earning medals while serving in the Vietnam War. And so veterans kind of strike a nerve with me because I do have so much family in the military. I actually was almost in the military. I'm not at all saying that I'm not. I was really close. I took the ASVAB and I think I got like a 75, and in order to go into the occupation that I wanted, I had to get a 90. And at the time I was studying really hard. I really wanted to do that, but I was in rehab doing the studying, and then they actually graduated me out way earlier than I expected. So they sent me back to where I'm living now, to where I was living previous, which is like 2-3 hours away, and I just couldn't find the time to make it all the way up to where I was supposed to meet up with my recruiter. And the place that I live in doesn't have the best recruitment center as the other place I did, and I had made a really good connection with the other recruiter, and I just, yeah. Anyway, so, like I said, he fought for this country, and he still died, and I don't know, like, that irritates me. On to our next victim, and there wasn't any other information about him. So, on to our next victim, which is Harold Goldberg, and he was also really old. So, like, the first victim, he was 66, and the first victim was 50. And so I just don't understand, like, I don't know. Anyway, so, sorry. So, Harold Goldberg was 66, and he was fatally attacked on June 4th, 1974. He was discovered June 4th, 1974 in a decomposed state about 2 weeks after his death. So he had been murdered in May. Sorry, I was doing the month song in my head. I am tired. Anyway, so he was killed in May, and then he was found June 4th, in Lincoln Park. His remains were slightly inconsistent with the other murders, as he was far older than the others, and his underwear was actually taken, which is super weird. And like the other victims prior to this, they were completely clothed. Like, they still had signs of sexual assault, but like they were still 100% clothed. Like, there wasn't any unzipping of the pants. As Goldberg was actually found, he had no underwear and his pants were unzipped, which is why they were really confused. They're like, oh, is this guy escalating again? So I don't know. That's kind of all they've really talked about that. And Goldberg is actually believed to be the final victim of the Doodler, but while he remained unidentified, he was also known as John Doe number 81. So at the time of finding Harold, the Doodler is described as an African American, about 5 feet tall, with a tall build, who was likely in his 20s. A suspect was detained in 1976, but was never charged. The Black Doodler was around during the Zodiac killing spree, and in an interview in 1977, gay rights advocate and former San Francisco supervisor Harvey Milk told the AP that homophobic attitudes made it especially difficult for the victims to testify. Several victims were stabbed on the front and the back of their body in similar locations. Police questioned a young man as a murder suspect in the case, but could not proceed with criminal charges because the 3 surviving victims did not want to out themselves by testifying against him in court. So what that kind of tells me is, like, all of these poor people, like, these victims, like, literally were like, oh my god, if I out myself to get justice for what I just went through, I'm gonna be shunned, I'm gonna be shamed, I'm gonna be completely degraded for being gay. But not only that, I'm gonna be degraded for being a snitch. Like, back then, snitching was, like, a horrible thing to do. And, like, guys, if you guys are going through something like that, or, like, if you guys, like, been through sexual assault, and you guys feel like you guys are gonna be completely shamed for sexual assault, please go to the cops. If that is your reasoning behind not reporting, please do that, because, I feel like snitching is so wrong, in the way of describing it. Snitching is literally going to somebody and saying, oh, so-and-so was riding my bike. Like, if you're, like, a sibling and you're like, oh, my sister was riding my bike and, like, she crashed. But she's fine, but she was riding my bike and I want my bike back. Like, that's snitching. Snitching is literally telling something that is not dangerous, and that's my honest opinion. Where, like, actual telling something that is important, that is, like, a harm to yourself or others, that is not snitching. That is literally keeping somebody safe from themselves. That's my opinion. But we're not going to get into that. So, like I said, the police questioned a young man as a murder suspect. Among the stabbing supervisors were a well-known entertainer and diplomat. The suspect cooperated with police during his interview, but never admitted it. So officers stated that they strongly believed the man in question was actually responsible for the crimes, although he was never tried or convicted because of the survivors' refusal to appear in court. So I don't know, I feel like that's so sad. So to date, the suspect has never been publicly named or apprehended. Sorry, guys. And very little information is available about the crimes, which that is true. When I was doing research about this, like, I actually asked somebody, one of my favorite true crimers, like, I asked them to do this case, and I was like, well, they haven't done the case, so I might as well. But it was so hard to find any information on this, like, literally so hard. 2 other potentials. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, so 2 other potential suspects arose in 1977 after a pair of men from Redondo Beach, Riverside, California, were questioned after their arrests under suspicions of murders with similar circumstances. Approximately 28 that occurred after homosexual encounters at the time. Activist Harvey Milk publicly expressed empathy for the victims who refused to speak while with police, stating, I understand their position and I respect the pressure society has put on them. Milk elaborated that the 3 men likely feared damaging relationships with family and also in the workforce, citing that he believed only 20 to 25% of the 85,000 gay men in San Francisco were open about their sexualities. Which, and like, I 100% believe that because, I mean, you guys, this was like early 70s. There were so many riots about gays. Like, literally, like, the pride flag was just beginning here. Like, literally, like, LGBT community was starting to, like, actually build in the 70s, and the only reason why it hadn't started here was because it was so hard to do so, and, like, being new to this, like, oh my god, that would be so scary to do. Like, imagine standing in front of your family for years telling him that you're straight. One of them was married. For me, that would be so crazy to do. I couldn't imagine doing that. I mean, I'm bisexual, but that was never a question. I always liked women. I always liked men. I just feel like my parents kind of knew, and I haven't really come out to them, but they know. They know. Anyway, so yeah. So I guess that's the end of the case. I appreciate you guys participating. And to my YouTube channel, again, subscribe, like, comment, click the notification bell so that you guys can be notified for when I post next. I appreciate you guys coming. Thank you guys so much. Goodbye.